Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Good, really good. It's a beautiful Saturday on the hill, and I got a great alumni with me.
Yeah, thank you. It's Badger Day, so it's going to be a fun weekend on the hill.
Right. Badger Day is the time of the year when all the new seniors in high school come to tour the hill and get guides.
It's exciting.
What brought you back this time?
Well, so I've been on the board of trustees here at Spring Hill College for the last 3 years, or I guess June will end my third year. So we had board meetings this last 2 days. We do that about 3 times a year. We have 1 or 2 virtual a year, and then there's commencement, and then usually we try to tie into alumni weekend as well. So
Yeah.
it's been great. It gives me a chance to get back on the hill 4 times, 5 times a year.
Right. That's a treat.
It's fun.
What were the main points y'all were trying to get across to this meeting?
So the job and responsibility of the board is far-reaching across the entire college campus. I'm on 2 committees. So I'm on the finance committee, so we oversee financials and just all the kind of business affairs, if you will, of the college, money. And then also on the academic and athletic committee. So which that's near and dear to my heart. I was an athlete here, so
Right. Basketball team.
Yep, that's right. So those are the 2 areas that I focus on. The board overall, basically our job is to provide governance for the college and then provide direction and oversight, particularly of the president, who then has her cabinet, Mary Van Brunt, that then deals with the major aspects of the college.
Right. Does the board help choose the president?
We did, yeah. So we went through a selection process right when I joined. So late summer, early fall, 3 years ago, we engaged in that process, and I just kind of walked right into that. And so we hired Mary then that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. How many candidates do you remember? Was it a lot of applicants?
I'm not sure how many they started with. I think a pretty big pool. We used some people to help us, narrow the field down. And then we got to a short list of 3, had them all in, interviewed them all face-to-face. They came to the campus tour, did all that stuff, and selected Mary. And we had 3 excellent candidates, and so she was the one that stood out, though.
Nice. And when you played basketball here, was Mr. Joe Nyland your coach?
He was not my coach. So there was Carl Nash that was the coach. I only played here 1 year. Then I helped with the team the next 2 years. I was at the very end of my career, so I transferred in late. And so Joe hired in the year after I finished. And so I actually coached kind of alongside Joe as just a protege to him.
Yeah.
Helper, what do they call that? The
grad assistant?
Grad assistant, yeah. So did that with him and just really enjoyed it. We had great teams all through those years, and so it was exciting, and it was neat to be on both sides of the equation there.
How was it coaching alongside him?
It was, a wealth of knowledge. Learned a ton. He's a legend within the basketball community from a number of aspects, and it was a blast. And then it was fun because helping him with my old teammates who then, carried on and still had great teams right after that. So it was a fun environment to be around. Definitely.
I go pop in his office and bug him, a couple times a month. And he mentioned, and I told him about the podcast deal, and he said, you got to get Derek Wright on. Oh. So I'm glad it fully happened. I look forward to sending him the episode.
Yeah, no, he's great. And just a wealth of knowledge. And and he loves when the kids on campus come through. He's a mentor through and through, and just likes to engage with the younger people, and just a great guy.
Yeah, his son, Pat, was my coach here for 2 years when I played. And, it runs in the family. Great coaches,
exactly.
All basketball, good people.
Tends to be that way, too. It's funny. Either great players, great coaches, both. Yeah.
So now you're living in Austin?
That's right. We've been there for almost 20 years.
Do you like it?
We love it.
Yeah.
We've actually been over there just a little bit more than 20 years. It's a cool town. It's people hear about it all the time because it's a destination place for, all kinds of people to go, and bachelor and bachelorette parties, and
a lot of parties.
Yeah, couples trips and fun stuff like that. But it just has a lot to offer, and the city has changed. In the 21 years that we've been there, it has grown, and the complexion of the town's changed. It's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, I come from Dallas, so I went a couple times growing up, but now with college, I have a lot of friends at UT, so
oh yeah,
it's always a good weekend escaping down there.
It is a fun place, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously UT sports and all that, so it's a great time.
So now you're in tech entrepreneurship. Once Mr. Nyland mentioned to me that you started your entrepreneurial stuff in college.
I did, yeah. So I was kind of entrepreneurial all my life. I come from that type of a family, and so I've been doing that stuff all along. And I actually bought my first real company. I had one before that, but bought my first real company in 2003, 2004. So
What were your goals, projects when you were at Spring Hill?
Well, so it goes all the way back into, in grade school, I sold bubble gum. Through middle school and high school, I cut yards. I threw the paper, did all that kind of stuff. Here, I bought and sold. Probably was much more successful at buying than selling, but I was a basketball card collector, and so I did all that and then bought and sold that stuff. And
cool.
Yeah.
I've heard they've skyrocketed in value recently. There's been some selling for 20,000 baseball cards. And
there's some of the old stuff. It just, it's like many things. It's a supply and demand game. So there for a while, they got where they printed a lot of cards and made special cards, but there's still a lot of them. But it really comes down to just supply and demand.
Do you know what spiked the demand recently?
I don't. I've been really out of it, and it's funny. I need to dig all that stuff out and probably get rid of some of it, and display and enjoy some of it, and get back into it a little bit.
And with the other cards too, my cousin had a bunch of old Pokemon cards from 15 years ago, and cashed them all in and got a couple thousand. It's like, sweet, score.
Cool. Yeah.
What can you talk about some of the companies you're involved with now? Yeah,
so I've bought mainly, started a few, grown most of them companies the majority of my career. So like I said, about 10 years after college, I bought my first kind of real company, if you will.
What led you to buy that one?
I was in the telecom industry, and in the 2001 downturn, the telecom industry particularly got hit hard. And I'll never forget, I had a great career. I was making really good money. And I came home one day, though, and told my wife, I said, I think I'm going to be in the same position, basically quicksand, for the next 10 years because the industry just collapsed on top of itself. And so, not that that was a bad outcome to sit there and continue doing what I was doing, but it was just one of those things that I felt like it was probably a good time to just try something else. And I'd wanted to be an entrepreneur, and so I started looking around. And because I was a technology person, I recognized that the entire tech, was the tech bubble in 01 and 02. And so I realized the whole industry had just been beaten up so badly. So there was a lot of opportunities. And so I found this training company and thought that was a good fit, and felt like the training wasn't going anywhere. Education, here we are. And so I bought that. And
Was this New Horizons?
It was, yeah. So New Horizons is a franchise business at the time. They had, a couple hundred locations around the globe in like 30 or 40 countries, something like that. Had maybe 100 locations here in the United States. And so I bought the Austin, Texas location, which is what took me from Dallas. I was in Dallas for 10 years. Took me to Austin then.
Dang. Yeah. And then where did it progress from that one location?
So that one location was the first, partnered with the general manager there. So he became my business partner. That actually was a really good relationship. I wasn't sure how that would work. That wasn't my intention going in. Bob was, basically my parents' age, so he's 20 years older than me. So he was at the sunset side of his career, and he was ready to just try to cash in, make money, do well in an industry that he'd been working in for 7 or 8 years. And so I said, yeah, let's do that. And so we did that, and then bought the San Antonio location from the franchisor about a year later. And then from there, we just bought locations. We started a few locations and built it up to 32 locations in 25 different cities and 17 states or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And at a premise, New Horizons is computer teaching training.
That's right. It's computer training. So it's primarily focused on the IT staff of companies. So it was we had two sides. We would do career training, which would be people post-college, post-high school, whatever, that decided they wanted to go into the computer training, to the IT industry. So we'd help them kind of get into the industry, but primarily the majority of our training was towards the IT staff of companies. And so it'd be all the server, networking, database, security, all those kinds of classes, just like a college. So it's, it's think of it as a post-secondary college from, like a day school and night school, depending. So we offered both, but people would come to our classrooms and take classes with other people doing Microsoft server stuff or, Cisco networking classes, those kinds of things. And
would the students leave with certifications?
That's they didn't have to. It was on the career changer side. So the career school, very much so around trying to get them certifications because we felt like that gave them basically the equivalent of a diploma.
Right.
For the IT staff of companies, if the individual wanted to pay for it, but a lot of times the companies wanted them to have the knowledge, but didn't necessarily care so much if they had the certification because they were already working for them.
Right.
So it depended on who would pay for it. But yeah, most of the people would still try to go get their certs.
Right. At a career change level, how do you guys determine and show that the certification from New Horizons is valid?
Actually, we didn't really do a very limited amount of certifications came from New Horizons. So they were actually the vendor certs. So it would be a Microsoft certified, whatever it was, a Cisco certified. So it would align with the curriculum.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And another company of yours I'm interested in is Web Media Group.
Right. Yeah. So that was actually when I moved to Austin, Texas. My next door neighbor had founded this company. He sold it in 2008 before the '08 downturn. The company that bought it just wasn't successful in the end. And Kevin and I bought that business back in 2010. And we partnered together. He asked me if I would be his partner and do that with him. And so we did. And then we, kind of rebounded the company post that company messing things up and, grew it again, added some locations, and then ended up buying a lifestyle magazine. So we really have two divisions there. We have Web Media Group that is all about relocation magazines in about 7 or 8 different markets. And then we have Napa Valley Life magazine that's a wine country magazine for Napa, California.
So with the sale and then the later repurchase, you sold out, got equity, and then the price dropped and got in again.
Yeah, well, he did that. So he owned 100% of the company prior. He sold it in '08. I was just next door neighbors and buddies with him. And so he did. He sold out, and then it's the old business thing that you see all the time. We bought it back for pennies on the dollar in 2010 and partnered together. So yeah.
Dang. That's so cool. And then, Napa Valley Magazine and the Relocation Magazine. So relocation kind of is for companies relocating to different markets?
Actually, for individuals.
Okay.
So just think like in Austin, Texas, it's the Austin Relocation Guide. In Dallas, it's called Destination DFW. We have Denver and Phoenix, those. And so if someone were to search on, hey, I want to move or consider relocating to Austin, you would probably find our magazine. It has both advertisers in it and also editorial content in it that just tells you about the Austin market, the Dallas market. We send the magazine. We share the details of the person with our advertisers. But really, it's digital media trying to drive traffic, those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you go about building out the content inside the magazine?
So the content on the relocation magazine is much easier because really things don't change a whole lot. I mean, there's stats in there like what's the population of the town, who are the largest employers, what are the things to do, and I mean a lot of that's reasonably static. It doesn't necessarily change, every month, every quarter. So that part's easy. Once you kind of get it current, then you just kind of keep up on it.
Right.
On Napa, I mean, it's truly a new magazine every other month.
Yeah. Well, what made you guys choose Napa Valley?
No, so Kevin met the old owner just at a conference. And so we partnered with her for 2 or 3 years. And then eventually she wanted to do a project across the country. So we bought her out in 2018 or 19, I think. And, we're both wine enthusiasts and just
nice.
It's a great place to just travel and just thought there was some really neat opportunities. So, it, kind of scratched both itches, if you will.
How often do you go to Napa Valley?
Well, funny enough, I mean, we just got things ramped up and was going reasonably off, and then COVID happened. So, from 2020 to 2023, I was maybe there 2 or 3 times total. Now getting back into 2024 and 2025, trying to make it, 3-4 times a year. So
Cool.
yeah.
Are you treated with royalty when you go there because you got the magazine in town?
Well, I don't know about royalty, and I've always been more of the silent partner on that business, so it was Kevin. But certainly, you have access to all kinds of cool things. And then the neat thing about the Napa environment is it's this combination of the people that have been there generationally. They own the land; they're really farmers, and that just happen to produce a high-end product with their farming. And then you have entrepreneurs and family wealthy people that come in and buy wineries and because they just have a love for it. So with the magazine, I mean, it gives us a lot of access, and people are always trying to promote their products, and it's a very charitable environment, so people are out there trying to promote charitable causes and things like that. So I don't know if we get treated like royalty, but we definitely have the doors open for us, and we can kind of get into or go do anything. So,
that's cool.
Which is fun.
That's cool. Where's the main revenue from a magazine come from?
So they're all different. For us, it's truly our advertisers. So it's people trying to get their message out there. We have a digital magazine, we have a printed magazine, and we have our website. And so it's people just trying to drive eyeballs, drive awareness, build their brand.
Right.
Those kinds of things.
So the digital magazine that comes up from keyword searches on
in the website. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so then, so people pay for banner ads, they pay for click-through, they pay for, distribution and just, building the brand. So
how many total views a month or year can you advertise?
It's a ton. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I mean, it is
right.
A staggering cool number.
Because I had to go sort through all the podcast analytics because I'm searching for sponsors now. So
nice.
I had to research it and then format it in emails to send. So it's cool knowing where you are, where you stand. Yeah. It can either bring some momentum or it can take some momentum.
Right. Well, exactly. That's exactly right. And, that's where there's a misnomer, because there is just through digital marketing, it can be very analytical. And so you're just trying to drive eyeballs and kind of prove that. I often state for people, though, there's part of this that's building a brand too. And so, people are like, well, why would Coca-Cola do that? And it's like, well, they have a brand there and they're just building that brand and there's value in that brand. And it doesn't necessarily always drive eyeballs or someone saying, oh, I just saw this thing, so now I'm going to go buy a Coca-Cola. It just keeps it top of mind and those things. So
right.
There's two sides to it on advertising when it comes to some of these products like this. Yeah.
Super interesting. So also the Relocation magazine, that's digital and print as well.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. So that one, think of the magazine more as a printed resource for someone. So, I mean, we don't think that people will necessarily come back to that magazine per se, but if you're in the throes of moving and you want to learn about the home builders, the neighborhoods, the parts of town, the school districts, restaurants, things to do, you think of a place like Austin. I mean, it's a very varied environment depending on where you are, because there's hiking in parts of the city, there's lakes in other parts of the city. So helps people just kind of narrow down where they would like to consider to move.
Right.
Yeah.
How many different cities do you offer relocation guides in?
So I think we have 6 or 7. We have Austin, Houston, Dallas. And I say that and stutter a little bit because we've we had 2 different models. We bought the Houston book, and so it was really like 5 cities, if you will, that were kind of in. We've consolidated that into just a Houston book, which was more of the model of our other locations. But Houston, Austin, Dallas, Phoenix, Tucson, Denver, and Portland. So 7.
Wow. How'd those get chosen?
We bought some of those locations. We started others. So it's just been a hodgepodge of how we got there. So we bought Dallas, we bought Houston, we started Denver, and we partnered with the chamber for a while, and then took that over. So kind of just all over the board like that.
Right. Are you pushing the content on social media as well?
We do, yeah. So more so trying to do that with Napa, which is, it's a tricky thing because we want to be sensitive to our advertisers and the people that are helping us be, which a lot of social media, if it's really, really strong and good, is just kind of free form and out there. Mm-hmm. So we're always kind of battling back and forth with what's the right line there to, be a resource and be a good thing for our advertisers, but also let the community just kind of use the platform like that.
Right, right.
On the relocation, it's a little less. I mean, we do have that, but it's just, once again, I kind of say that it's a hammer. I mean, when people are looking for a nail to hit, they go find a hammer, and when they're trying to relocate, this is a resource that, and so they like the magazine, they like being able to get to it digitally to the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Another one is the maintenance company.
Yeah.
That one really hit home to me because I have a smaller, lesser, uglier version of it. Can you explain the maintenance company a little bit?
Yeah, so we have two different things there, really. So I have a property management company that tends to all of the commercial and investment real estate that I have. Mm-hmm. And so we've, at one time we owned about 10 to 15 buildings. We've sold some off through the years. A lot of it aligned with my New Horizons business. And so when I sold that, then I divested some of my real estate. But we have a property management company that deals with, it's still 7 or 8 different buildings we have kind of scattered around the country, 200,000 or 300,000 square feet of space. And then I have a concierge home management business.
Concierge, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Golden Home Management. And Golden Home focuses on basically a subscription service where we go into the homeowner's home once a month and do a task. Mm-hmm. It could be, and we're trying to promote safety and convenience and those things. So think of it as, targeted to someone like myself, and it's, hey, we're going to come in once a month, and 1 month we'll change out all the batteries of your smoke alarms. Mm-hmm. The next, so keep you off a ladder. The next month we'll do all of your air filters for all of your air conditioning returns and things like that. 1 month we check out the HVAC. 1 month we do, leaves in the gutters to make sure everything's cleared out. Mm-hmm. And what that does is it creates the relationship with the homeowner. And then behind that, we'll do really just about any task home related. So we do small remodel projects, fixing or changing out fences, gates, installing grab bars in homes, changing out broken door locks and stuff like that. So it's a mixture of handyman services, but then it goes all the way up to, and we'll do hot water heaters and, entire HVAC.
Dang.
Yeah. So we do all that. And there, obviously, on many of those things, we'll bring in a vendor as just, and we'll just kind of be the project manager, if you will. But the homeowner likes that because they can just deal with one person to deal with everything in their house. Mm-hmm. And someone that they know that's trusted that will sit there and, get the right deal for them, handle everything, access in and out of the house, all those kinds of things.
How do you build the initial trust with the homeowner?
Well, that's that monthly service. So, showing up and just the familiarity of we're there every month, scheduling that visit. We show up and spend the first 5 or 10 minutes just visiting with them, ask them how everything's going at the house. Is there anything that we can do? Hey, you had this short list of like 5 or 6 things. Because when we come in, we do an initial inspection. So we'll come back to the homeowner and give them a list of like, hey, here's things we noticed that you might want to tend to, and we can do all this for you. And we also inventory everything. So we know the size of their air filters. We know just you name it, the filter in the refrigerator, the size of, the tonnage of the air conditioner units, the size of the hot water heaters. We do a full inventory of the house. And so that way, if they have anything that goes out, we kind of know what it is, and we can handle it and help them. And so it just makes their life easier. Some of these people travel, like we travel some. So, if all of a sudden a hot water heater went out at our house while we were gone, then, because someone else was there staying in the house or whatever, then we would just quickly be able to call them and not have this weirdness of like, who's showing up to my house, why, where, when.
Right.
So it's a convenience and a trust factor, but it's just showing up, building a relationship.
Yeah. Because I was telling you yesterday, me and my friend started a broad labor business here, but it's just door-to-door advertising we started with, and now it's, we just pick up the phone when they call. But I think us doing a subscription-based deal can keep us in the door more to get paid more, but also keep us in the minds of our customers to then refer us to more.
I have a buddy of mine that did that kind of with college kids painting homes in the summer. So they would do all these projects at houses, and then they would go canvas the neighborhood near the college, in the spring, and line up paint jobs. And then the kids that were coming home for the summer, they would find those kids and then keep them employed all summer long doing house painting, basically.
Yeah, it's a treat being a college kid because you always get tipped, and most of the time you get tipped, and
people take care of you.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah. So with all these companies you're involved in, how do you allocate and manage time across all of them?
Well, luckily for me, we've sold the New Horizons business. We've actually kind of sold it 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years. So I've had the blessing of getting to enjoy that sale multiple times with private equity partners and those kinds of things. So I still have a carried interest in that business, but I have no responsibility for the most part. So it takes up very little of my time. We did the same thing I had a cybersecurity company that we sold back in 2019, and I worked in that business until 2022. With some folks out of London, and that's the same thing. I have a carried interest there, but no longer any operating duties. I had a IT services firm that I actually we cashed out of that again just at the end of last year, and so I still have a carried interest in that. So those three are 3 of my companies that are investments now that really I don't have any a lot of to-dos. My recruiting company, so I spend about half of my time in that business. And then the other half of the time, I oversee the publishing companies, the property management, and a few other little side projects.
Is the property management, is that just for your holdings?
It is, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, actually, we have 1 or 2 pieces of real estate that are just true property management for other people. But primarily, it's for our internal consumption. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Real estate's a big interest for me. And
real estate's interesting because, it's typically, particularly if you buy it at the right time and sell it at the right time, it's a wonderful investment and just kind of a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. It is not very exciting, and it's a little bit like watching paint dry. You just have to be patient, take your time, do the right things, and next thing you know, you wake up and 15 years later, this building that is paid off, and then that's when it gets really exciting.
Yeah. Just checks coming in every month, hopefully.
Yeah.
Spending a little bit in property management, but
that's right.
Outweighs.
Yep.
What would be a good piece of advice you would have appreciated earlier in your career? Like, what would you have told yourself?
Well, one thing that I did, and I kind of lucked out into that, but I landed in the telecom industry. So when I graduated from Spring Hill, I was lucky enough to get connected with one of our alumni here. And Denny owned a company named CPSI. So I went and worked for 1 year at CPSI, and then Brandy and I decided we were getting married. My wife's also a Spring Hill alum.
Cool.
We were getting married and wanted to just get back closer to home, so that's how we moved to Dallas. And so I was only at CPSI 1 year, and then when we went to Dallas, I just happened to land into the telecom industry that was huge in Dallas. And that was an exciting time through the 90s. The telecom industry was just booming. Mm-hmm. And so the thing that I could say is it helps to be smart. It helps to be a hard worker. It's lucky to get lucky. But oftentimes people that work in an industry, the old saying, a rising tide floats all boats. Mm-hmm. Just finding those areas and those industries that are booming. And so I lucked out twice. One, landing in the telecom industry in the mid-90s. And then when I decided to buy New Horizons and become an entrepreneur, getting out of the telecom industry in the early 2000s because it was no longer a rising tide. And so there was nothing strategic about that. Those were both very just lucky events. Maybe I had a little foresight with buying a company and getting out of the telecom side, but it was that was a huge advantage, and particularly young.
Are you aware of any emerging technologies or industries that you think entrepreneurs should seek?
Yeah, well, you see it everywhere right now with all the AI stuff, and there's all kinds of ideas, and AI is not going to solve all the problems, and the people that are creating the tools oftentimes might become the ones that are doing really well. But I think that and I think young people have an advantage here, because it's just kind of assumed that young people know these kinds of things in technology. So I do believe that gets you a foot in the door and kind of some interest from someone just doing that and having some knowledge. But if you can truly become masterful at it, an expert, I think that AI has some just really amazing next 5-10 years.
Do you see yourself getting into an AI company?
Well, so we're trying to integrate. I'm as I said, stepped into a role here at the beginning of the year, beginning of 2025, in Recruitability, which is a recruiting and staffing firm that I'm a partner in. So Nad and I own that business together, and we are trying very hard, like literally making an effort every week and every month to talk about AI, how we're integrating AI into the business, what opportunities we might have, and really trying to be transformative, because we think that that's going to be a thing.
What's your goal vision seeing AI in the company? What's that look like?
Well, the interesting thing about being the business owner is everyone feels like we naturally have the desire to do these things, but it will come at the expense of the employees. And that could be true to some degree. But I always say it's like, if we don't do that to ourselves, someone else is going to do that, and we're going to have that done to us. So we need to just, get over that and embrace it. And if we can grow the company and use this technology and these tools to grow the company faster, we'll have both a more bulletproof business. It'll create more value for our customers and clients. It'll make us the one that's hunting all the ones that are not doing this kind of stuff, and that'll make our employees more valuable. So
be the hunter, not the hunted.
That's right. Yeah, it's you think about, like, just look at a laptop or an iPad or a mobile phone or those things. I mean, just people that were slow adopting that. Can you imagine, like, people that were in business, how we did business through the 90s when I started my career, and then all of a sudden everyone started having a computer. Then all of a sudden everyone started having a laptop and a cell phone. And then in 2006, 7, 8, the smartphone came out. And, those were just transformative. And
right.
It's like, get on board and do it sooner and become good at it, because that's what's going to happen.
Got to evolve. What's your take on, I hear on, like, the next step from iPhone or phone will be like glasses that
you see all that. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's cool. I mean, you just start seeing that, and it's when that can really read our eyes and what we're looking at and focusing on, and then start giving data and just queuing data and the analytics around what's important to you. I mean, I think that it's going to go. I mean, I look now every time I do any kind of a search, instead of it coming back with the list of the 40 websites to, the first thing is AI pops up and starts giving, kind of a synopsis of this thing. And, so it's just fascinating. So
right.
I think it's coming.
It is. And then Neuralink, what's your opinion on that?
I don't know that nearly as well, but I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's also coming, and I mean, seems a little crazy and a little odd. I mean, very robotic now all of a sudden and all those things, but I believe it's coming. You and I were talking earlier about even self-driving cars, and I mean, just look at how all this is just starting to mesh together. And it reminds me of when I was your age-ish and Terminator the movie was out, and I mean, just here we are 30 years later, and it's like this stuff's becoming a reality.
All the sci-fi movies are coming real.
Yeah.
Have you been in one of the self-driving cars, one of the Waymos in Austin?
We have. They're all over the place, and I mean, the self-driving cars are interesting. But a few of my friends, we had one of those at one time, but now the new technology, like in the Teslas with the self-driving features of those, I mean, it's crazy to see, and just so cool. And everyone has all these opinions, and it's like, in a very short period of time, they've proven that is, with millions of rides and millions of miles, proven it is way safer than the human.
Really?
Yeah.
I did see one video online, a negative video of a Waymo. A homeless guy got in front of it and was stopping it and grabbed the windshield wipers and was beating it. It was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it maybe doesn't have the quite what's it, fight or flight kind of thing built into it, but it's probably a good thing. But
true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. So within the companies, how do you find and attract the right talent?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's hard, and it's gotten even more difficult on through COVID with remote work, and then on the tail end of COVID. But we try to find people who are young and talented and hungry. Try to find the right skill set, and I learned early on. I probably early in my career, which is funny because that's when I was the youngest. Gave more weight and credence to a little bit more tenure and experience and those things. And I think that's super important. I think that young people should go look to find a rabbit as a mentor and someone that they can really just, get on their side. But we'd like to find people who are competitive. I love ex-athletes. I was an athlete, and I think that, athletes know how to work on teams. And not necessarily athletes. It could be people from the band, people from the debate club. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, just people that have worked in those kind of environments through school. They have a sense of team. They have a sense of camaraderie. They have a sense of building that culture and that group think and those kinds of things. So we look for, there's a book out there from Jeff Smart and his dad, and it was all about top grading talent and who, which was about creating kind of a hiring scorecard and trying to attract the right talent. And so that's what we do. And then, if you make a company and an environment exciting and the kind of place that people want to work, then it gets easy too, because good talent tends to attract good talent.
True.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to a student coming out of school that really wants to make it and do good?
Yeah, funny, I was on campus here just yesterday, and I sat and had lunch with some young people there in the cafeteria and just talking about, it's the squeaky wheel. So, if you think that the job is going to come at you and find you, regardless of if you're the top 10% in the class or whatever, it's not necessarily the case. I mean, nowadays, because of all the digital stuff, there is a flood of resumes and a flood of everything. And so it's how do you stand out? And all too often that's, making connections. And it doesn't mean, my mom or dad are going to go help me find a job through their network. It is literally just picking up the phone and talking to someone, and you'll impress them somehow. You will. And if you don't the first time, the second time, the third time, you may not be very good at it. The first 5 or 10 calls that you make and the ways you try to connect, you will get better at it. And so just having perseverance both shows that that's how you would treat your job. That's how you'll go about figuring things out. But you'll figure out how to land, and then it's just asking for help. So all too often people are just nervous because they think it makes them look inferior or not very smart or not connected or whatever. But just asking people is, hey, do you know 1 or 2 people that you could connect me with that might be either interesting for me to talk to or might even have an opportunity for me? I really appreciate if it goes nowhere, that's great. I won't bug them, if they don't get back to me after a few times, I'll tell them, and, just being respectful about it, but being aggressive.
I've tried my best reaching out to the database of alumni at Spring Hill, and everyone's so much more receptive than I would have ever thought. Everyone's willing to help, but not everyone can, because I'm at an early place and don't have any experience or anything too much to offer yet. So it's like, but everyone will give you their time to just think through things.
That's right. And I mean, they may be retired. They may not be in the workforce right now. They may be in a totally different industry. They may be somewhere that's not necessarily your desired geography, but that doesn't mean, Spring Hillians kind of come from all across the country. So it's a little bit of an opportunity, a little bit of a curse. I mean, when you go to the University of Texas, there's just tends to be a lot of Texas kids there. There's obviously a bunch from everywhere else as well. But Spring Hill, we have a bunch of Mobile area. We have a bunch of New Orleans area, but we're scattered across the country. And so it just opens up a lot of doors, but it just takes time and effort. Yeah.
What are the most exciting things to you in business or working and life?
Yeah. So I'm kind of a business junkie. I mean, people, say, are you a serial entrepreneur? Those things. That's not what I'm trying to do. I love business. I love seeing companies kind of grow and thrive. My sweet spot has been those companies that are, excuse me, 25 to 100 employees is kind of a starting point, and then trying to grow them from there. So I'm first and foremost on the business front, just a business junkie. And at this point in my career, I like to try to help people and mentor people. And I feel like I'm a pretty good coach and pretty strategic about my approach to, how to view a business and break it down, and then where the opportunities are and where the threats are, those kinds of things. On the personal front, so my wife and I and our whole family, we love to ski. So I do that. We all like to golf, and so I'm a big golfer. Outdoorsy stuff. So, we have a house in Colorado that, so we'll go hiking and doing all that kind of fun stuff, and just traveling, seeing the world. So I've been blessed that I've got to travel and just do some really cool things and see some really cool things. So we love that as a passion, and then just socializing with friends and like-minded business people, and just, doing that. So,
Well, where's the next trip destination?
Well, I go home today, back to Austin, Texas. So I had a canceled flight, so I'm on a later flight now. And then my wife and I go back up to Colorado for the next couple weeks. So we'll be in Telluride primarily. We have a quick trip over to Copper Mountain. And then we have a really full year this year of some travel. So a bunch of us Spring Hillians. There's 4 or 5 couples. We're doing a 30th wedding anniversary. We all got married about the same time, to the Mediterranean, and doing the Ritz-Carlton cruise.
That's awesome.
So super excited for that. My wife and I have a golf trip to Scotland this summer. And then our kids are coming and meeting up with us, and we're going to go to Eastern Europe for a week and do that. And I think we're going to go do the British Open for a day.
Wow.
So, have some really cool. I'll be back here for Spring Hill. So make another trip or two in the next few months down to Mobile. So all over.
Yeah, that's so cool. When you're working, is there a lot of remote work? I mean, when you're traveling, is there a lot of remote work?
There is. I mean, I've been pretty busy this last few years with just a bunch of transaction stuff that I'd mentioned before, and just everything happening. So, but that's the beauty. I mean, I have a really good staff of people that work for me that can really mainly take care of stuff, and it allows me to plug in and be present and do those things. I can, have laptop, can travel, can work. So that happens that way, and I have a lot of flexibility though, so it's nice.
What are your in-person requirements? Like, what deems you having to be present in person for a situation?
We try to do some of our, like these board meetings here at Spring Hill. I mean, you don't have to be local, but 85% of us make it into the meetings to be here in person. My quarterly strategic planning meetings for the different businesses, I try to be face-to-face for those, and same with the annual stuff. So there's, a handful of things like that definitely require. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's been the beauty of technology once again is, I mean, if you would have rewound and 5 years ago told people it's like, hey, you're going to really be able to easily plug in to your company environment remotely, I would have said no way. And now today, I mean, with Teams meetings and Zoom and all those kinds of things, the technology and tools are really good, particularly if people facilitate it and run it the right way. Now, I do think it's a detriment to culture. I just don't think that the remote worker gets mentored as well. If they're a younger person or a new person, I don't think they get onboarded as well. I don't think they become part of the team as quickly and as easily. I think that's a lot trickier and harder. But day-to-day work you can do pretty effectively remotely, so it's nice.
Yeah. Did you ever has it made your life and work easier with the easy remote access?
It has. I mean, it's easily becomes a little invasive because it's just so easy, just like a cell phone. It's just so easy now to
start
take
working.
A business call and start working, start answering email. Next thing you know, you've been sitting at the dinner table for 30 minutes and it's like, I'm not present here. So it cuts both ways, and it's something that has to be, taken care of and handled the right way. But yeah, for me, being able to just be anywhere and do work, I mean, it's incredible. And so it's nice on that front.
I agree. Well, you hit on all my questions.
Awesome.
I appreciate you scheduling the time with me. to come in here and do this.
It's great to be on more people need to know about this, because whether it's entrepreneurs or just, leaders in the community, executives of companies, Spring Hill is just fraught with so many, amazing individuals and successful people. And so we should work on figuring out, and then, I know it's probably trickier for you to do a remote versus here local, but
yeah, the remotes still work really well. I had one with Mr. Kevin Andrews, your teammates, and it went smoothly.
Oh, good.
It's I prefer this quality more because it's cooler to sit in person and have these cool microphones in front of us.
Yeah, well, and people don't get to see what we're seeing, where we're here in one of the historic buildings and just in a really cool room and space, and just being on campus. It's just nice. It's easy to get away from Spring Hill because, once again, we're all scattered around. But it's nice to get on campus, and this gives another reason to come do that.
But yeah, I'd love some consulting help on how to grow this thing and shed some more light on.
Sure will. Yeah, and maybe we can tie it back into the alumni group a little bit, because then that would both help Spring Hill students connect with leaders around, and so it might create some and foster some job opportunities and some opportunities for business owners to find some great talented people and that kind of thing. So yes,
well, I look forward to it all.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Have a great day.
Yes. I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business Podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.